Oh, yeah. Good morning. Happy Thursday, October 23rd. The Cornbread Man is in the house. Just me today, and looking forward to a good day. It's a cool day. I say cold, but it feels cold. It's really cool. I mean, when my fingers get a little bit where they don't want to work, I could call that cold now. Although some would say it's just really cool. I think it dipped down in the 40s again, but it's cold when you're trying to fidget with the keys, and you get a little older, you got that arthritis in the hand a little bit. It just doesn't go as well as you'd like sometimes. I didn't drop the keys though. I hate that. I was telling somebody the other day I dropped more than I used to. So getting older, a little arthritis in the fingers. I think they don't have the dexterity they used to. The little lads, but maybe they'll we warm them up. We'll be okay. Hey, great day to be alive, right? It's a great day to be an American. It's a great day to be a patriot. Patriot Morning Show here, and enjoy your freedom, your blessings. We always talk about fighting for your rights and looking out for the what they're trying to do and all those things always go into play. But don't forget along the way to enjoy what you have. I mean, it's okay to enjoy it. Yeah, we're going to stay on target. We're going to have concerns. We're going to pray. We're going to, vote. We're going to, some cases, run for office. All of those things. But at the same time, don't forget to enjoy. I mean, it's great to be an American. It is absolutely wonderful to be an American. And you gotta take time to smell the roses, as they say, and enjoy your freedoms. There's people around the world that would trade places with you in a heartbeat because they would love to have the freedom that you have. And although we complain and gripe and moan and everything else about issues, and sure, I get it with good reason. But don't forget to celebrate the successes. Those people that died before us, those people that gave their lives, that we can enjoy the family fun that we have in the world of freedom. As Fridays would phrase, the mountain of freedom. You know, don't forget to enjoy that. It'd be like going on a vacation and working the whole time. No, you got to go and enjoy the vacation, enjoy the fruits of your labor, to go and enjoy, just walking on a beach or something with your kids or your spouse or whatever, and realize that what you have. Some people never do that. They're always so engaged into the fight, into whatever that fight is, that they never take the time to just enjoy the blessings of what they have. And it can sound, that's why I get it. And some shows are really set up, and that's that argument every day. They take some time to laugh sometimes, but they're angry. All that seems like they're angry all the time because they see a lot of stuff to be angry at. I look at it a little different way. Yeah, we gotta be engaged that way. We gotta fight the fights. We gotta point out the problems. We gotta look at the threats. What can happen? Like a super analyst, what can happen here? What's the danger here? But at the same time, you gotta take time to slow down and enjoy what you have. Or life would be most miserable. I mean, yeah, I have a greater day coming, and the best of days as a Christian, and enjoy what you have, and realize that this thing is a whole lot bigger than just you. So, you being mad all the time or angry as a patriot is not gonna help you. It's not gonna help your family. In fact, it's probably gonna make them miserable. You gotta engage that way. And some people, they're constantly negative, even though they think they're super patriot or whatever, and they'll come in our show sometimes, and we can't even have a moment of levity. We have a moment where we slow down. We're doing that, and they're like wanting to just hammer, 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 and I'm like, we tell them all the time, that's not the purpose of this program. We do those shows. We'll give you just a second, but like we got a guest or something, and they're talking about, I don't know, it's their testimony, and we got people that'll come by at that time, and they'll drop, a heavy bomb in. Did you see Chuck Schumer? And look, bro, yes, but if I did, if I didn't, thank you, but that's not this show. And I'm thinking, I mean, it's go go do something. Go somewhere else. Climb a mountain. Scribble a rock. Do something. But that's not where I'm at this morning. Okay, I can't stop Chuck Schumer what he's doing. It's out of my hands. All I can do is do what I do as a patriot. Me being angry all the time about it, about even government shutdown, we'll take our time to rant like we did last night, our vent, our Southern Fried vent. Let it all out. It's good for the good cleansing for the brain, the soul, and your own emotional makeup. But enjoy what you got. It's a great day to be alive. I mean, first of all, you're alive. You got life. You have a family, most likely, hopefully. And never forget, that's one of the things I've taught my kids and grandkids. I tried to teach them is to just take time to laughter. Take time to just slow down and laugh. And sometimes I have to remind myself. That's why I'm saying it. It's not that I'm not an expert in that area, because sometimes I can get in that mode as well. And, or you're just pressured, with job responsibilities. Hey, I got them on me too. But you take the time to slow down and just laugh. And sometimes my granddaughter will go, what are we laughing about? And I say, there is no reason. It's just a laugh. And she'll say, but what's funny? And I'll say, I don't know. We're just going to laugh. We're just going to have a moment of fun. And it is the most rewarding moments of my life is to do that. If you look at somebody, as long as I don't think you're laughing at them, if you look at somebody and you just, you take the moment to just laugh, and they'll laugh with you. They'll be like, and somebody else will come up and they'll go, what are we laughing about? And they'll say, I don't know, but it's dang funny. And before you know it, you got people laughing. And it laughter doeth good like a medicine, as the scripture says. It's important to remind yourself to laugh, to have those moments of just a good belly laugh and to enjoy what you have. Freedom lets us do that, right? Freedom gives us that blessing that we can do that, and we need to never let anyone steal that from us, because the sorry scum of the earth that people are sometimes, because we're all rotten and no good, and some a whole lot more than others, I know. But if you let them do it, they will steal your fun. They will steal your glory. They want to do that. They live for the day. I mean, that's what they do. Trolls, life's trolls. They come by. They want to destroy your fun. And I say this often on the program, on the air and off the air. And I've said it to so many times in the last 3 months, especially. Don't keep laughing. Make things light. Don't get too heavy, because if you do, one, you're making yourself miserable. But even if you're not, if you think you're not making yourself miserable and then you're like okay with it, you're making everybody miserable around you. You got to have time for laughter, for fun, or whatever. In the midst of the chaos of the world, don't forget the beauty of music and just the simple pleasure of a good laugh, or going out somewhere and doing something with your family. And for those people who take their work with them and work the whole time they're on vacation, shame on you. Walk away from that crap and realize you got to have that time. And they brag about it. Oh, I worked the whole time I was on vacation, like they're the super worker or something. If you can't walk away like that, you've done something wrong. You have. You've done something wrong. You've not trained someone around you, because everybody can be replaced. You've not trained, or you've not trusted, could be either one of those two T's. You've not trained somebody, or you've not trusted somebody to get the work done while you're gone. And that's a failure. And you have failed life, first of all, because you can't walk away and have fun on vacation with your family. Shame on you. Go and have fun. Those kids or grandkids or whatever. I get it if you're a CEO or something, and it has to, if it has to be a true emergency. And that's what I would tell. It would have to be one heck of an emergency for you to call me on vacation. Leave me alone. You trust people that you put in charge. You let them do that job. And if you can't do that, that's failure. That's massive failure. Enjoy life. Take your kids. Enjoy them. Have fun. Don't let life drag you down like that. And the president himself, everybody has to have a way to get away and enjoy the freedom that we have. And however long that is, it might be hours, it could be some days. I knew I was one of my leaders went on a cruise here recently, and it's been within the last 6 months, and they did a great job of getting people in place that could handle anything that came up. And honestly, if you don't have that, I mean, that's not good, because we're all going to die. We're all going to become incapacitated one day. We're going to want to retire or sell, whatever but put people in place and trust them to do the job that you trained them to do. But some people carry around this weight, like the whole weight of freedom is weight on their shoulders. No, that's why we all got to get involved. It's not. And yeah, it's a heavy presence on the president. Sure, I get that. But sometimes maybe they put more weight on themselves than they should. It's easy to do. This sense of duty and responsibility, we can take that and we can take it too far. But your kids, you get one shot. I mean, one shot. And the same freaking problems that you have today, you're going to have tomorrow and the day after that, because the enemy is always going to be attacking. You have to have a chance to recuperate and restore and get renewed within yourself for the battle ahead. Because what's going to happen? You're going to wear down. You're going to wear out. You're not going to be able to do. And we need people fully ready and willing to go, but not wore down and beat down because of the journey. And I know people right now, they get so deep into this thing, they almost melt down. They go offline, as they say, off the grid. And when you ask them, "Hey, where you been?" I had to remove myself. I was in a bad place. If you're allowing that to happen, that's on you. You got to recognize that about yourself. And in this fight for freedom, and yes, because frontline soldiers, you look at the military, frontline soldiers have to be sent to the back. They have to have a time of recuperation, rest, and dealing with the emotional impact of what they've seen. The more time you spend on the front, the worse you're going to get. And at some point, you become not helpful, because soldiers snap. There's things that happen. Why would us patriots do anything different? We got to stay engaged in it, yes, but you got to take time to go. And I'm not saying off the grid. I'm saying go take time for yourself and your family. Your family will appreciate it. Most people's families will support them, or she or he, whoever it is, all the way, but they got to have that time. And the leader of a family, like a leader of a nation, has to be able to recognize the emotional impact that they're creating around them. And if you're so wound so tight that people are on eggshells, walking on eggshells, so to speak, around you, you're out of position. Again, and there is no one patriot, not even the president. I mean, he's not going to be here forever. It's important for the role he's in right now. Absolutely. You're important in the role you are. But don't let the feeling of self-importance get to the point that you feel like it's all on you. That's ridiculous. It's not. You can't. You do your duty, and that's all you can be expected to do. And I believe that the great Robert E. Lee, and yes, he was great, and for all the people in the country that call him a traitor and all this stuff, you go back and read about the man and realize he was a man. He had faults, sure, but he was a great man in many ways. He agonized over decisions he had to make. And at times, he was guilty of that. He put so much on himself. He was not willing to trust people sometimes with where he was thinking and what he was doing about things. And you could see that strain on him as the war progressed, and the pressure of it, of that. But there were others too that did the same thing, and it's easy to get wrapped up into. So yeah, we're engaged. We're engaged every election. 2020, the current elections that are going on. 2026 is coming on. Everybody's talking about it. And, talking about fraud, or talking about, do we have this fixed? Is this going to be a clean vote? Is this, where's the corruption? Where's this? And absolutely call it out, expose it wherever it's at, and stay engaged. But you have got to take time for yourself. And it likens me to, I knew a person one time, and they were involved in emergency services. And I'm going to tell you, anybody involved, you talk about the 22 a day, which is a recognized number, could be more or less, whatever, for military, but you take in first responders, it's very high among first responders. That could be police, fire, whatever. They have very high suicide rates as well. They also have very high divorce rates. You know why? Because they drive their family crazy. They drive them into the dirt with this stuff. And I know some people that this was how bad it got. The sickness got for them. They couldn't even go to dinner without listening to all the reports that were coming in. And I know for a fact there have been spouses that have told their husbands, and probably vice versa. But I know in this case it was females, the wife who told the husband, if you can't turn that off, we're in trouble. And because I'm your wife, I'm important, and you're totally ignoring your family. You're eating, and you're not even paying attention to us. You listen for 10 seconds, and as soon as the radio call goes out, you're completely consumed by the radio. And I know spouses that have told their husband, it's me or the radio. You turn that off, you get away from it, you're off duty, you're not even on call, you're off duty. You turn that off, and you pay attention to your family. And those that can't do that, they're done. They lose their family. And then you got someone who's in crisis, and then sometimes they go the bad route and they commit suicide. And it happens. It's so bad. And I've talked to men who told me that they didn't realize how sick it had got for them. That they were listening to the emergency calls every waking moment. They had the radio beside their bed. They're waking up in the middle of the night listening to the calls that their brothers and sisters are going into among the people in those services, whether it's fire, police, whatever. You got to disengage from it. You got to engage in your family, and you've got to, not, everything's, again, the city's not resting on your shoulders. You got a family. You got to, the same with Patriots. You got a family. Yeah, we're going to fight, election fraud. We're going to make sure we get people signed up to vote. We're going to challenge these people that are doing things they shouldn't do in commissioner meetings, and they're violating the very laws that they're supposed to be upholding. You got to fight all that, absolutely. But you gotta rest. You gotta save your family. And I've heard it said it's bad in ministry too. It's just as bad. Divorce rates are bad among Christians. It's sad. I'm going to tell you, pastors are the worst. They go out here and they try to save the world. It's an honor. I mean, it's something we're sent to do, is to take the gospel to all the world. But it's an honored thing to be doing. But if you can't lose your family in the process of that. And I've known pastors who wouldn't never take a break. They never took a vacation. They never released their pulpit for somebody else to preach. That's on them. That's on that person. That's wrong. You take your family. And I do know pastors that take Mondays off. Why Monday? Because they've just went through a weekend of ministry. And Mondays can be a lot of preachers quit on Monday. Why? Because you just feel like everything's went wrong. It's frustrating. Things didn't happen right, and Monday's a vulnerable time. They'll take Monday, and them and the family, they go away. They do something for the day. It might be a picnic. It might be going to just have fun at a festival, or that may be on a Monday, or yard selling. I don't care what it is. Take your family and have a getaway day. If it's just working around the house, and say, unless you really need me, I'm unavailable on Mondays. And I applaud those men that do that. They recognize for themselves they've got to have rest and recuperation, because that thought presses in your mind when you've had somebody maybe have 3 or 4 people get mad at you on Sunday services, and it's just, you feel that weight of the pressure of ministry and souls and everything. Monday you wake up and it's like, I just can't do it. And that's why you gotta have a moment and pause yourself, because you'll quit. And we know we shouldn't be quitters, but it does cross everybody's mind, and I might as well just quit. Well, that's because you're worn down, you're beat down physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is, and maybe all three. You got to take the time to rejuvenate yourself. And if you're like that, you're undoubtedly driving your family down that dirt road into a mess. And take the time to go to your kids' functions as often as you can. Don't, again, sometimes we miss stuff. We do. But as often as you can, and grandkids too. And I always applaud people that are doing that. Those kids are looking up in the stands. They're looking to see that you've arrived. And I have seen the heartbreak on kids' faces and listened to them as a person who has made that mistake, by the way, before with my kids. I worked too much. I said, well, I got to work. I got to work. I got to work. I learned some things out of that, and I carry that with me that I've had to just let it go. But there's things that I missed with the grandkids. I said I'm going to do a better job, and I did, and I have. And I remember my granddaughter that lives with me. We were in gymnastics, and she wanted to do gymnastics. Did it for about 4 years and had a ball with it. And but she had fun too, and I'd watch her in her little space, and she'd be having fun, and but every time that she did something, she was always looking up because the area you could watch was upstairs, and for people around here, they would know where I'm talking about, and she would look up into the to see me to make sure I was paying attention. And later, if I was looking at my phone or something, she'd say, "Hey, you wasn't paying attention to me. You were looking at your phone." And I would say, "You're right," and shame on me. I almost made that mistake there because I was in school at the time. During part of that, I went back to school and I brought a book, class book. I'm trying to get through for the class, and I only brought it one time because I was sitting there. One, I realized I can't read with all the distractions of all the parents talking and whatever. And two is I want to be watching her, and I know we multitask, but she was expecting me to be focused on her. And you know what? I should be. And so we put the book away. We got invested into that, and the biggest smile. But I have been at school functions, and listen, I know how it is. I know how it is. You got a lot going on, but I've been at school functions where you show up and you're eating with your kiddo. There's always those kids, they don't have anybody show up. And they will say, somebody will say, "Is your mom or dad coming or whatever, or grandparents, whatever?" I'll say, "No, I don't think so." Or they might say, "I hope so. I hope so." And everybody that comes in the door, they're looking. So what we try to do is me and my grandkids, we just try to focus on including them into the group. Well, hey, you sit with us. And it helped them a little bit. But I've watched them cry because somebody didn't come through the door. And listen, I get it. There's times we can't break away. But you know what? It's usually only an hour or so. Work it out, make some arrangements, and because you know what? It's one shot. It's one and done. You don't get another chance to really have that time with those kids. And it's like the Cats in the Cradle song, right? We're raising the kids to do the same things because they copy us, they mimic us. And for little girls, they're watching their dads. That's straight on us. They are watching their dads, and they will, and without even thinking about it, they will go off into life, and they will be looking for a husband that is a lot like their dad. And that's a lot to think about when you start putting that together. Are you the person that you would want for your daughter or granddaughter for a husband? And what qualities do you have that you love? What qualities do you have you think, ooh, I need to tighten up here because that's maybe I lose my temper. Okay, do you want a spouse for your daughter that is like that? You got to get a hold of that. The snap temper, the I lose it, throw things, whatever. Whoa, okay, I don't like that. Or are you drunk? Just being honest, are you drunk? If you're drunk, it's a high probability your daughter is going to marry a drunk. It happens. I've talked to so many young women who did this, and they said, I didn't even realize what I did, but I married my dad, somebody just like him. My dad was an alcoholic, and I married an alcoholic. First marriage down the tubes, disaster, total disaster. Why? Because she said, without even realizing it, I was looking for somebody like that. And it's like I knew better in my mind, but it's like I couldn't help it. I just went down that road, and they had great qualities that I liked. It's a lot like my dad, but I still like the drinking. But I married the same thing, and it was a train wreck. It doesn't happen every time, but it happens a lot. I mean, a lot, because it's just the way we're geared. Young boys, they're looking at their moms, and they go out looking for somebody that's like a lot like their mom, the same qualities, the cook, and have those abilities as a mom, or not. they're not they're not that good. You always, the old expression though is this the one you can bring home to mom? Because they're looking for somebody a lot like her, and they want to bring somebody home that she would be pleased with. Sure, but yeah, it's important. And if we're burning the candle at both ends and we're not there for our kids, just like the song, we're not effective, and we're creating another generation of people that is going to burn it down like that. We got to have those times to rest, reflect, and just have some. That R&R is so important, and to have that fun. And the times I've had on vacation, and there was a time when I didn't take vacations. I was my kids were, oh my goodness, and so I know what I'm talking about. My kids were 10 and 6, and I was never taking vacations. And I was talking to a guy who's a friend, still a friend. I just don't ever see him anymore. And we were talking about that, and I was just cashing my vacations in, for money. And he said, "Oh man, don't make that mistake. Take your vacations. You need it. Your family needs it." And so I really thought on that, and I got to thinking about it. I talked to my wife, and I talked to the kids. I said, would you like to go somewhere and do something? I mean, you talk about instantaneous joy. Yeah, yeah. Where are we going? We could do this. We could do that. And we took a big vacation. We went to several amusement parks. We went to the beach. We just had a week of fun. No work, and I was stressed out at work. It was a bad time, and we took a week. And my family. It was in the year 2000, 25 years ago. 25 years ago, and I remember leaving that place a changed person. And I swore to myself, this will not be the last time that we get out like this. I went back to work. It actually gave me clarity on work. I realized how just deep in the box I was, what was going on, the things that I couldn't fix, and I was stressed on. I went back to work, and I made immediate changes. Immediate changes. I went into my boss. I wasn't getting the support I wanted on the shift I was, and I said I want to go back to my other job, and I want it now. You always told me I could go back. I'm not getting what I feel like I need, and it's not healthy for me and my family, and I'm out. And I immediately went from a situation that was bad to a situation that was good. Even took a little less pay, but it was worth it in the long run. And my family, it was a critical moment in my family's history. And we started taking yearly vacations, more than one a year. Sometimes if it was just a 2 or 3 day getaway, we would get away. We still do that as often as we can with the grandkids, and we always take everybody that we can. It's never just me and my wife. We take whoever we can, and we're creating memories. And my son, my oldest son, he's very big on this, and he goes, sometimes he goes off without, he does his own vacations, and he knows how to make the memories, to create that time with his kids that they will never forget, and to get a little memento, a shirt or something, and come back. Yeah, we do the tourist thing. They love that, and it just creates these great memories. I remember, and I'm not a fan of really either person. Certainly one, I'm not, but I do understand the family dynamic. And so when I mention the name, you're going, "Oh, what a horrible person." I get that, but they still deal with the same things. And Jane Fonda, I'm not a fan of her, but the On Golden Pond movie that she made with her dad was, and really maybe the problems with her started because of the bad relationship with her dad. She loved her dad, but he was a cold, distant person. She couldn't communicate with him. He didn't know how. I don't know. That happened a lot. And that movie, I watched it, and you know what? It's worth the watch, because that dynamic is exactly what they're dealing with in that movie. It was a hard movie for both of them to make, and he died not long after that movie, if I remember right. And it kind of gave them a way through script to talk to each other. And it was a very hard movie to make. So on a human level, I can separate that, and I can understand that. And in that way, I feel sorry for her, because I do think a lot of her problems came because she was reaching out, and she reached out. Unfortunately, she got pulled into this whole crappy movement that was going on, which really set her down a course of disaster for her life. And I really think it began with this bad relationship she had with her dad. Was he a superstar as an actor? Absolutely. But he failed as a dad. And how many times do we hear that, where these actors or actresses had these great, millions of fans, Hollywood starlets and all that, but their home life sucked. And their kids were, the Joan Crawfords, Mommy Dearest and all that. I don't want that to be set up. So that's what I mean. You go out and you save the world. You be a patriot. You go and you do the duty. Absolutely. We throw ourselves out there. We work tirelessly to provide for our family, to be a patriot, to stand up for our rights. Absolutely. But we can't be fools and lose our family. We've got to invest in our family. And what I was going to say earlier is your family will ride with you. They'll sacrifice for you, but you got to give them something back. You got to give them that. I remember, every great person, as you know, it's a hard balance. It really is a hard balance. You got to learn to manage it. And Ronald Reagan, certainly at times there were, you know, because of divorce and everything, he wasn't always around the kids, and that really did bother him. He talked about that. But I read his daughter's book, and it was great. And one of the things that she said in there in the book that I read was that no matter what was going on with her mom and the dad was always there for her. He never lost the ability to laugh. Exactly what I'm talking about. He always had that sparkle in his eye, and he worked hard, and he spent time with his kids. He might have been he might have been a superstar on the screen, or he might have, as he became a politician, but he never stopped being a dad. He never stopped knowing the importance of that. And I take lesson in that. And if he can do it, anybody can do it. And it's just important that we never lose that. And we don't have to have kids growing up and go, well, I didn't have one of my cousins. I don't want to say because they might not like that said it, but it may be still hurtful to them. But I remember one of my cousins one time, a parent died, and the day of death we were there and support, and or actually it was the second parent, the first parent. But in the course of that discussion, and it's raw, it's new, they mentioned about the other parent that died years before. And they were really upset. This is my uncle. This is my dad's brother. They were really upset because they felt like some of their childhood was cheated from them. Because they said, there were times I needed my dad, and he wasn't there for me. But by golly, let this thing happen over here, that thing that he was involved with. Oh, he was always there. And I remember someone that was there with me looked at me like, what's he talking about? Because they were very young, and they didn't. And I watched this person go down this road for a long time and then make the change themselves, because they were headed down the same road of destruction as a dad at one time, but not even realizing it. And I mentioned him earlier. I'm just not using names, but I remember how he vented, and he loved his dad. He loved him, but he just felt like the dad made a choice between the other things and himself. We can't let that happen. Your kids got to understand there's a time you got things you've got to do. But kids also have to know that you're there for them. And one of the greatest respects that I have, and Ronald Reagan was big about this too, and there's been some others that have been great about this. If they were at a dinner function, really important, entertaining foreign, leaders and diplomats and, business people of the highest caliber, the Fortune 500, the billionaires of the world, if their little kid walked in and tugged on daddy's pants and needed attention, they would stop what they're doing and say, "Excuse me, my child needs me." And they would look down and they would say, "Daddy," and they would answer their question, and they would say, "Okay." They say, "All right, you go play, or you go do with that." And then they would turn back, and they said sometimes when they turned back to the leader, they would be looking at them like, "I don't like that you did that." And even at a couple of times, people would say, "Hey, I'm here. Why are you paying attention to them? Are you interrupting me right in the middle of my story or something?" And I know Ronald Reagan did it, but there are others. And they said, "Let me tell you something. That is my child. And if my child needs me, that's the most important thing in my life at that moment. If you can't handle that, I don't care." God bless them. You know what? Because imagine how important that was to the kid to know they're recognized that way. Instead of them locking them away and, "I'm busy, don't bother me." It's like, okay, I got a minute for you. What do you need, sweetheart? And people get mad at that. I've had people get mad at me about that. They'd be trying. I say, "Hang on, this phone call is very important. It's my child. I don't know what's going on. It may just be they want to say, hey, but I got to take this call." And sometimes we make choices like that. Do I take the call? I'm right in the middle of this thing. And there are times we can't. I get it. If you're in the middle of doing a presentation in front of 1,000 people, maybe you can't take that call right at that moment. But you're getting back with them as quickly as possible. But you're letting the child know you're important. You mean something to me. And you're more important than this sheik that is standing in front of me from some Arab country. It's important. We got to work out the details here. But the sheik is never going to be more important to me than my kids. That's powerful. That is powerful. And you know where we get the best lesson of that? If you're a Christian, you get it, right? You should. Is our Heavenly Father. He's never busy that he can't listen to us. He's got superpowers, right? But we got to take that lesson. We got to take that and we got to use that and let our kids and grandkids know, by golly, you're important. That's one of mine. That's a superstar walking down the road. That's my boy. That's my girl. That's my grandkids. And I love you. I appreciate you, but that's mine right there. And I'm proud of them. That's the one that puts a smile on my face. I mean, who, after all, some sheik, we can talk to them anytime, right? Or some leader. I mean, most of them are horrible anyway. Let's be honest. I mean, look at the leaders around the world. Are they really worth giving any kind of attention to every minute? No, they're horrible. All they do is want to steal off of us anyway, and then they want to badmouth us. So I applaud it. And people can say what they want, and about President Trump, but there's one thing you cannot deny about him. No matter who likes him or who hates him or whatever, he loves his kids and he loves his grandkids. It's obvious, and he takes time. And he not only does it for them, he takes time for other kids. He's very moved by that. He's definitely a family man. He definitely loves his family. And that is evident. You can see his granddaughters and how they respond to him and how they're spending time together, playing golf and all that. I mean, riding on the golf cart, riding around. He brings them up, puts them on the knee. He loves his kids. And in this world we live, people are so hateful because they hate a man so much that they can't stop and appreciate that. You can hate him. That's a freedom. You're free to hate. It's horrible to be like that. But I said the same thing. President Biden, and his kids had all these problems. And then the fact they ignored a grandkid. I mean, just totally like that didn't exist. That's the other side of that. He did all the wrong things with his kids. Wrong, definitely wrong. And placed importance on some grandkids more than others. And I'll call it out. That's wrong. You know what? And I've always said, leave the kids out of this thing. Once they become adult, maybe you say they're fair game. But while they're kids, leave them alone. I remember when the first time President Trump became, 2016, and the press jumped all over Barron. I mean, they put a big target on him. They wanted to come after him. And I'm glad that a lot of people stood up and said, keep him out of it. He's just a kid. He's grown up now, and he looks like he's ready to take care of some business. But he was a kid, and I appreciate them for trying to keep him away from a lot of stuff. And in Hollywood, I have a great appreciation for those people who were parents, and they kept their kids, tried to shield them away from the horrid nature of Hollywood, because it is disgusting and evil, and the stories are horrible. We know. And there are some that stayed away from that, and they went and made a movie, and then they went home to their family, and they're very much grounded. Robert Duvall's one like that. I think he's got a pig farm or something. He's nobody much bigger than him, but he knows the importance of family and getting away and privacy, and not living in that bubble all the time, because then you lose reality. What is reality? Who knows what reality is? It's hard. It's elusive to them because they live in a bubble that's make believe. It's not real, and they lose reality. And so the Ronald Reagans of the world, and so they would, even when him and his wife divorced or separated and divorced, he would pick the kids up, and they would go off and have fun. And he had the farm, he had the ranch, and he would be out there. That stuff wasn't made up for TV when he was president. He's out there with a chainsaw. He built stuff. He cut trees down. I mean, he rode the horses. He did all that. That's who he was when he was away from the office, and that meant a lot to those kids. It really, really meant a lot. And they talk about that. Was he perfect? No, nobody's perfect. You're gonna have faults. You're gonna have times that you are away. Responsibilities will is a time stealer, and it will steal valuable time if you let it. And sometimes we don't have any choice in it. It's driving us instead of us driving it. That monster will always be there, and I get it. It's not something I enjoy myself, but there are times, and it's important. The causes are important. The people we work for, we have a responsibility. Absolutely, the people we represent. If we're a leader, a politician, or whatever, you represent people. But the first family, that's our family. We represent them the most. We represent them in every way, and they're watching us. And as we go, so goes the family, and we gotta stay there with them. And then when you have family trouble, we've had them. It's double pressing on you because you're like, oh, did I do something wrong? Where did I miss the mark? And you're really hard on yourself. And there are times that you're missing. You have to be away because you got to go handle issues that you wish you didn't have to handle, but it's important that you're there. And so we do that. So I always have great empathy for folks that have to deal with that, and or like somebody's at the end of life. I remember one time, and I know the guy. He needed a life lesson. It ended up being a really nice guy. He's a very analytical engineer type guy, and I had a guy working for me that was his at the time. He was well. I wasn't even a real in management. I was just a lead, but I was leading that day, and he got the call in that his dad had cancer, bad, and they got the call in. They're calling the family in, and we were running R&D, some important stuff, and all of a sudden he comes to me, he says, "I got to go. They've called us in," and I think 3 days later, four at the most, dad was gone, and so he left. Absolutely. Hey, we're praying for you. I'm so sorry you're going through that. I'll never forget this person come back and says, hey, where'd that guy go? I said, he's got called in. His dad's not got long left. And he said, well, if he's going to die anyway, I mean, why does he got to leave? And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, are you heartless or something? Well, no, he can't change the fact. He can't change being there. He's just going to be sitting around. He could be here making a difference. We got product to run. I said, I'm going to pray for you. I mean, I said, get over it. We'll find somebody else. Because he's like, what are you going to do? I said, we'll find somebody else. And we did. And I thought, you need a life lesson. If you can't get that, if you can't understand that, and so it wasn't surprising to me that divorce happened later for this person. Yeah. Because that mentality was obviously something that occurred a lot, and it cost them. And I don't know what else is going on and things I don't know, and it's not for me to know. But it's not surprising because if you got that attitude, you have no heart. I mean, really, you have no heart. And anyway, he got his time. You come back, it's not easy. You're not the same person when you come back to work. It takes a long time. The rest of your life, you're grieving. It takes a long time. When my dad died, coming back to work, and I didn't stay out long. They said, we'll give you all the time you need. I said, really, for me, I just need to keep plugging ahead. So I remember I was night shift, and I remember the first night I came back to work, and before we went into the room to have our pre-meeting, it hit me hard. And I thought, I don't know if I can walk in that room. I had to gather myself to face everybody, and a great group of people, and I knew they cared, and the weight of it hit me. And I thought, if I can just get through this meeting, I'll make it. But I got to get through this meeting. And then you walk in and everybody's like, hey, Dave, so sorry, I've been praying for you. And some of them came by the funeral home, and it's very, very hard. And a couple of people walk up and give you a card, and you're trying to hold it together as best you can. And I thought, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here, but I'm glad I am because I got people that care about me. And you refocus and you think, okay, I got to get through the next hour. through the next shift. And you just put one foot in front of the other, and it's important. And it was a matter of healing. But first, you go be with your family, and they're going through the same thing. Their kids are going back to school. Grandma or grandpa has died or something, and that is a long-lasting thing. I have really close relationship, obviously, with my granddaughter that lives with me, and she just recently has lost a grandmother. And I've watched how this has, touched her, and it has hurt. She's grieving, and we talk about things. Sometimes she's been a little quiet about things, but she'll bring it up. She's always good to vent it out, and I'm glad she does. It's important that she can do that, and she's talked to me a lot about that and the impact of that. Of course, now she's looking at us like, "Don't leave me," and that's a heavy thing to think about, and so we are, you do the best you can. You don't have control over some of this stuff, right? And but we've prepared her well for those things. That's all you can do is prepare kids for the reality that people die and people are always going to be there. You hope it's a long ways away, but you prepare for those. My wife lost her dad when she was 13, I believe it was, in a trucking accident. And for her, still to this day, I've watched that impact of that and what that meant for her. That she didn't have her dad in her teenage years. She was robbed of that, and to this day, how that uh, affected her. And sometimes she's lost her mom now a few years ago, and so the impact is hard, right? And if you're listening and you've been through that, you know what I'm talking about. But and then so we try to project strength for our kids and grandkids, and we don't try to focus, but we don't run away from it either. Like because I've trained her well, and so she don't give me the passes. Like I say, well, we're not looking to die today or something, but she'll say stuff like, but today's not guaranteed. Okay, I taught you well. so so she said we need to make memories. We need to enjoy the day because it could be the last day. We hope it's not, but it could be. That's wisdom right there, and she'll take that into life, and every moment will be a moment of inspiration. She come in last night late. I was in the studio till late, long night, and she was coming in to tell me a little quick. She'd been feeling bad, so she was resting, but it's her dog. She loves her dog. You have animals, you love your animals, and they do little things that crack you up. Well, she had that, and she come in to tell me about the dog and the way it was sleeping and snoring and all this, and that was important for her, for me to listen to that story. And then I got to go to bed, got school, but she got up to tell me that story. What a fool I would be if I didn't take the time for that. And I love that. I love that she wanted to share something that was special to her with me. And I know that when she grows up and she becomes a mom, she's not going to blow through life and miss the important things of life to share those important moments. And listen, I know, and there's probably somebody listening, and this is a different kind of show for me. I didn't plan on going down this road, but it's really important because I think you got to be careful. You lose yourself in this fight. This is the Patriot Morning Show. Patriots, don't lose your family. Patriots, stay with it, stay after it, but never lose your family. And when when you have those moments, that are so special like that, though you can't buy that. I mean, you just can't buy it. And there's people listening. Somebody's fixing to say, and you lost your parent or a parent when you were very young, and you didn't get that time. That's tough, and I understand that. Or the parent was so busy and they never took time, and you gave them a pass because you said, well, they're working a lot. They're this, they're that. Well, yeah, you were very kind, but at the same time, it hurt, and I know it hurt. Or in my generation, your parent never said, I love you. My mom was really good about it. My dad was weak on that area. And it was a generational thing. I've talked to so many kids my age, and I'm 60. I don't mind saying I'm 60, and dads just didn't say, listen, it's not, this is stupid. It's not got anything to do with being macho or manly or tough. And that's all in with this today. You tell your kids you love them. And if you're not doing that, you're messing up. You are absolutely messing up. And I didn't hear from my dad that he could not say the words until late in life. And I'm glad for me and my sisters we got to hear that. It started off very, very slowly, late in life. And I think the grandkids had a lot to do with it, but he would say, "Love you." But he got to where he'd hug our necks and tell us he loved us, and we got that. We got it before we died. But I've talked to so many people who said we were not affectionate. My parents never told me they loved me. They never told me they were proud of me. Come on, that's a fail. That's a fail. Somehow in that greatest generation we did amazing things. Maybe it was the depression they lived through because a lot of those their parents went through the depression. And I think it just was a strain that's put on a family and they focus so much on survival. I don't know. I still think that's wrong. I don't care what you go through. In the moments of greatest crisis, you need to know that you love each other. And it should be not just that you know it, that you express that. And the whole world don't have to see that. Although I think it's important. I think it's important for the world to see that you hug your wife's neck or you give her a kiss on the cheek or you'll pick up your kids and give them a bear hug and all that. I think the world needs to see that. And your kids need that. And being people that don't do that, that's bull crap. I'll call it out wherever I see it. I don't want to hear what culture you are or whatever you are. That's baloney. And I can tell you, I've been to many cultures' funerals, and I have watched people, because of their cultural bullcrap, suffer because somebody wouldn't put their arms around them and tell them they were sorry that they lost their kid who's laying in a casket. I've watched that. And you know who did it? Other people. And they would say, "Why is your husband not cooking, being here for you?" Well, that's the way it is in my culture. But I don't like it. They would say, "I don't like it." Everybody needs that. It's a human thing. It's got nothing to do with culture. Come on. Just not that whole idea. Well, we as a family, we don't do that. Well, change it. Be a change agent. Make that change. And I did that. I grew up when I told my wife and I told myself, I would never let my kids never hear me not say that. And to this day, and if we've always have that, and if when my kids leave and go or we're on the phone with each other, every single time, I love you, Dad. I'm telling you, that's because I built that. I made sure that, and I say it. I'm not just saying they say it. I say it, and I've built that with the grandkids. And I do that with people that I greatly care about. I tell them I love them. And that's ridiculous to say we're tough, we're this. So come on, no, we need that. And so when I see people have great power and importance, and they're picking up their kids and giving them that bear hug and giving them those special little things in their ear that only they hear, that's cool too. You know what? That's private talk. That's the parent to the child, and you just whisper in their ear and say, "Hey, I love you," and maybe you're cutting up with them, but you say something like, "You're the most important thing to me in the world." That does so much for a kid's psyche and their heart and their soul to hear a parent say something like that. And in this culture we live in, listen, this is it, and I got 4 minutes left. This is what I'll say. And we have a pet. We have a dog, and you may be a pet owner, and that's great. And so you should show affection to your pets. They need it too. But I've known people who show more affection to pets than they do their kids. Come on, that's not right. Come on, no way. That kids first, and that's a wrong road too. I'll say it. You can disagree with me. I don't care. It's my story. It's my show, and I'm sticking to it. And yeah, guys don't go around the shop and telling each other they love each other all the time. But I'm gonna tell you what, men know how to let men know they care about them, and you need to do that. People need to hear how you feel about them. It's important. You just should never go to the grave of somebody going, "Well, I think they really like me. They never really told me." Take the time to tell somebody you appreciate their friendship. That you are glad that they're in your life. And it could be a coworker or something. Absolutely. Tell them, "Hey, I appreciate you being here. You mean a lot to me. You make me laugh, or it's always fun to work with you." That kind of stuff is infectious, and it goes a long way, and it makes the balance, the life balance, so much better. Because after all, you've left your family to go do a job, and you don't want to be on the job with a bunch of jackwagons. and Lord knows we've all had that. How fun is that to go into the office or the job and you're dealing with a bunch of adult children who are horrible in their people skills and they treat you like crap. It's horrible. Much better to go into a place where everybody's, hey, how you doing? I was looking for you 2 minutes ago. You're usually here about a certain time. That means they're looking for you. They're glad you're there. Or if you miss and they're checking on you, hey, you okay? I know you're not here today. I'm gonna miss you. If there's anything I can do for you, that's that relational thing that we got to have, right? And when we don't have that, ridiculous. I was listening. I think I get this in. I read the book about, and they just recently did an interview, but I read the book about BTK and the relational thing with his daughter, and it was so hard on her. She had no clue her dad was the monster. He was dad. She didn't know that. So for years she has dealt with this. Well, they got her to go back and meet with him after many years because at one point I can't talk to him. And they did a little series, a documentary, if you saw it or something about it. She was trying to help the law enforcement find out other victims that were slain. And she said it was really weird to watch him. At one minute, like he was overjoyed that she came, and at one moment he was like dad, but he would quickly morph into this other monster person, and it ended badly. And I don't think she ever wants to ever see him again. He's a monster killer, horrible, and she has to deal with that in her own life and her feelings about how do I feel about this monster. Well, one, I just don't want to see him no more, and that's tough. Can you imagine your dad being that or your mom? But she's had to look back through her life and those moments. They had great fun. They went on hiking trips, and he was very involved as a dad, and that way he was good. But there were also odd things that happened. Now that she looks back, and she goes, he she put the time frames together where people were killed, and she's like, that's why he was acting that way. It didn't make sense to me. That's why we could never open this door. As a kid, there was a door. They could never go in this little closet, and that's where he kept his stuff at. And and she has to deal with that. And she has kids, I believe, and she's making sure that she's not a killer, and she's making sure her kids know that she cares. And then they got somehow at some point she's got to explain to the kids, Grandpa, what he did. They're going to hear about it. And that's heavy stuff. I don't know how you deal with that, but you just do. Hey, it's been great to be on. I did a lot of talking, and it's been quiet out there, but thanks for watching. This is the Southern Fried Podcast here on the Cornbread Nation, and I am the Cornbread Man. Tonight, we have the Cornbread Nation show, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and at 10-ish, it might be slightly after 10, got to help my wife as she needs help getting into bed. Then I'm going to be on air with a new show, a history show I've been wanting to do for a while. And hello, how you doing this morning? Bless your heart. And appreciate you popping in for a second. We'll have that. There may be something else. We may do another live. I'm not sure. But we appreciate your support. Give us a follow, a like, share, all that good stuff everybody says. I didn't do any commercials, affiliates, or anything this morning. They're out there. And if you can, if you'll support us in those ways, that's cool too. We appreciate it. Have a great day out there. Conquer your Thursday. Don't let it conquer you. Tell somebody today how much you appreciate them. A coworker or somebody. Say, hey, appreciate you. Glad you're here. You make working here a whole lot better. And I couldn't imagine if you weren't here. Make their day. They need to hear that. And if you got kids, grandkids, maybe too early right now, but I'm fixing to take 5 kids to school, and most of them, they all call me Papa, and some are my grandkids. Some have adopted me as a grandpa. They call me Papa or Papa. And I try. It's nice to meet you. Thank you so much, and give us a follow there if you can, and hopefully you'll come back. And I appreciate this time meeting you. That means a lot. It really does. And they're going off to school. Lord knows we got problems with their school, and I try to talk to them about those things. And it's a tough age group. All the girls are 13 to 15 in that age group, and the young man, he's a little bit young. Well, one of them's 10. Sorry, the almost 11. So 10 all the way up to 14, almost 15 years old, and all the way from elementary, middle school to even high school now, dropping those kids off. And no, I do several channels, my friend. Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, Kick, Instagram. They were asking me what channels I was on. I think there's one more. I can't remember right now, but those are the biggest ones. But we do different shows. You can find us on the web. We do have a website, but it is Southern Fried Cornbread Nation is our website.com. So anyway, I think about that. They got to go to school. The last thing that is some mornings they're chatty, some mornings quiet. About a little over a year and a half, my friend, been on the platform, and we should have done a whole lot more with it. I just haven't done Twitch onlys, but I'm fixing to change that. But anyway, I think about what can I say as they get out the door that will help them throughout what times school sucks, right? And and so some mornings I'm just encouraging them. Some mornings I try to make them laugh. Some mornings I just let them know I love them, and I'm proud of them. And they may say thank you or love you or whatever, and you get them out, and you got that little bit of time, and that's all you get. That's all you get. And for us parents, it's very little. It's very little of their life you get. You gotta make it count. And I try. I failed at this sometimes. I didn't have all the answers, but yeah, it's long, man. Yeah, it's long. We're gonna be here for a long time, as long as the Lord will keep me alive, and that I can coherently get in front of the camera. Oh, well, I don't have time to answer that question right now, but I'll be glad if you come back. I do have plans, so. But I don't have time to reveal those plans right now. You have a great day. God bless. We'll go up with some music, and I'm the Cornbread Man because somebody called me that because we're the Cornbread Nation, and I like the Cornbread Man, so I'm claiming it. We're going to go out. We're going to kick this day. Just how big a boy are you? Well, we're going to find out. How big a boy are you, or how big a person are you? You got to go out and kick it in the day. Let the world know that you're large and in charge, and let them know you care about them too. See ya.
Dirt on your hands, fight in your eyes, scars on your plans. Who you gonna be when the lights all fade? When the stage is gone, when the debts ain't paid. Just how big a boy are you when the chips fall, when the fish fly? Just how big a boy are you when the truth comes, when the lies die? Big talk ain't the weight you carry. Broke down truck in a no-name town, dust on your tongue, rain won't come down. What's the measure of a man with nothing to show? When the wind cuts deep, when the seeds don't grow. Just how big a boy are you when the walls crack, when the earth shakes? How big a boy are you when your pride bends, when your heart breaks? Big talk don't mean a thing at all. You can puff your chest, you can raise your chin, but the mirror don't care about the fire within. How far will you go? How much will you lose when it's blood for blood and you gotta choose? Just how big a boy